action. Hello, how are you? My name is Queen on Occasion, and I'm back with more unsolicited advice. So let's just jump right into it. I was listening to the audiobook version of the rudest book ever, and I decided to make
the rudest video ever.
What's interesting about this book is that he really honed in on several different thinking styles that are very unhelpful and that are very widespread. So I wanted to do a video to help us set some realistic expectations going into the new year. By the way, the author's name is Shwetab Gangwar, and he is a popular YouTuber in India. The author starts out by making the point that the world does not care about you, that you are not special. Don't get me wrong, we are special in the sense that we are human fucking beings floating in space on this rock. But when Gangwar talks about specialness, he's talking about it in terms of entitlement, in terms of thinking that we deserve special treatment because we are superior or inferior to everyone else. Probably 30 to 40% of millennials are narcissists. It's a spectrum, and we're all on the spectrum. And millennials and Gen Zs and subsequent generations are especially, on the spectrum. Instead of demonizing it, we can realize that many of us have narcissistic tendencies. However, it's not because we're intrinsically bad. It's because of the trauma that we faced, which essentially comes from this capitalist system that we're in, and is because our parents told us that we were special. Specialness can also manifest as a sense of inferiority and a belief that you are somehow less than other people. So because I am so worthless, because I'm so helpless, because I'm so useless, everybody else who interacts with me has to meet my needs because I can't meet them myself. And I know a lot of people watching this already understand that they are not special. Not everybody has a huge ego. But to be honest, most of us go about our lives expecting to be treated fairly. It seems like a fair expectation to have, but in reality, it's an expectation that we should let go of. Even people who seem like they're a friend or a lover or a well-wisher will still stab us in the back. And I quote, "The world doesn't care about you. So instead, we should expect that we're not going to be treated fairly." Gangwar then goes on to say something nice. He goes on to say that you are going to get rejected a lot of times, and sometimes it won't have anything to do with you. I think it's kind of the antidote to our specialness. Knowing that we, in fact, will be rejected is kind of the opposite of feeling like we are entitled to things without actually earning them. For us to succeed in a certain field, we have to be willing to fail over and over and over again. It's necessary. And failure is really just a part of the process. Picasso had many, many, many paintings before he ever had his first masterpiece. The next point that was interesting to me in this book was this: you are just another product. And that sounds really harsh, but let's see what else he has to say. You are being sold new wants every day. The thing about whatever you think your wants are, they probably haven't been chosen by you. You have to understand, to a lot of people and companies, you are a customer. You are part of a statistic. You are a target audience. You're a product. You're a product. Say it with me. You're a product. To put it differently, those things are designed in a certain way so that your mind will like them. So essentially we have all these desires and all these addictions because of people trying to sell to us. So what I find to be interesting about this is it highlights the fact that people are not as self-aware as they think. You are probably not as self-aware as you think. I am probably not as self-aware as I think. And it's because we've been told what we should want from a very young age. Our identities are fragmented. I recently read a study where it talked about how many people, what percentage of people think that they're self-aware versus what percentage of people are actually self-aware. The study basically said that even though 80% of people say they're self-aware, in fact, only 15% of people or so are actually self-aware. Are you one of them? Are you in the 15%? Probably not. I mean, there's a 15% chance. Okay, I'm gonna go back to being mean again. Screw happiness. It's not the same as satisfaction. Most of us go about our lives expecting that we will always be happy or that we always need to be happy. We think this because we're told this when we're young. We see it in fairy tales and we see it on Instagram. We see it on Facebook. We see it on all social media where people only show their highlights, where everybody is putting forth the best version of themselves, a version that doesn't exist. And of course, he makes a distinction between long-term happiness and short-term pleasures. Basically, he says that short-term pleasures are things that we do to feel good right now in the moment, and it's kind of based off of that expectation that we always need to be happy. However, long-term sustainable happiness comes from basically choosing problems that we like to solve and solving those problems. Gangwar also advises us to ask ourselves, do we really want to do this thing? Because no matter what we choose to do, we're going to have a succession of failures. And we're going to struggle basically the same way no matter what we choose to do. There's a difference between doing something because you're supposed to do it or because people are approving of it versus doing something that is truly meaningful for you and that you would be doing with or without that validation. And if you think about the 8 or so universal emotions, you'll notice that most of them are actually negative emotions. It's a fact. So negative emotions are there to help us survive, and positive emotions usually result from overcoming obstacles. So expecting to be happy all the time is not serving us. It's an expectation that we should let go of. Bye, girl. In conclusion, I have just one more rude thing to say to you. You need to adjust your expectations. I gone and told you this is going to be the rudest
Video.
but I'm betting almost anybody who's watching this video has some of these expectations. And these expectations are responsible for making us more miserable than we need to be. Every time that you hear yourself saying that wretched should word, I should have this kind of job, or I should be making this much money, or I shouldn't be feeling this feeling, that is a signal for you to catch yourself and adjust your expectations. We all have shit feelings. I said it once and I'll say it again. However, we do have the choice of whether or not we choose to wallow in them. I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't even know who I am anymore.